Na mnajua kumekuwa na allegations hapa ya pesa. Dada yangu Wamanyo huyu, she was offered money 5 million. Alikataa, akasema atasimama na Wakenya. Na hata akawaambia hao majamaa walikuwa karibu wanapigana huko, akawaambia hiyo pesa itawaletea cancer.
Even up to yesterday 11 p.m. somebody was following me because they knew we had not voted.
I was so encouraged when CS Linturi once mentioned that he is ready to speak the truth. Why couldn't he be given the chance to speak the full truth?
What has happened in the House, it is something choreographed, and even the Speaker is defending his side of Kenya Kwanza, and he is the party leader of Ford Kenya, which is a member party of Kenya Kwanza. We are not going to allow it, and we are thinking on how to move. If he is not resigning from party politics, following President on his buttocks where he goes, we are going to deal with him.
Wale wote ambao wamehusika na hiyo fertilizer, hata wakitumia nguvu zao za kisiasa, kuna Mungu mbinguni ambaye huona ndani kuliko vile sisi tunaona.
I want to speak to Kenyans, and Kenyans must take strong action. Leaders were elected to represent them, to oversight and to legislate. In fact, we are few of us here because 3/4 of the members of the House are disgusted and they are asking themselves even why they need to be in that House. Actually, they are just sitting along the corridor. They are so annoyed as to why they voted that Linturi must be brought to books. And then just to come today, and then we are being told that because of the select committee, their report is final. It is quite a dictatorship point of view that we reject and we condemn. Number two, I want to say that farmers are suffering. We are just experiencing floods, and even our agricultural produce is going to be completely down. Farmers suffered before the disaster of floods, and the situation is pathetic. I was so encouraged when CS Linturi once mentioned that he is ready to speak the truth. Why couldn't he be given the chance to speak the full truth? I saw him testifying. He was supposed to be given time to speak the truth and not to say that the select committee has reported and that is final. My number two, this select committee who was elected, even on that day it was on post, and we are being advised, some people were advising, misadvising, not advising, that the moment we reject the select committee, it means that the case will go for free and CS Linturi will go untouched. Based on that, the House of the Floor allowed them to proceed. We did not know, little did we know, that they were going to produce a shoddy report. I'm advocating that this is a select committee which must not be selected any other time to represent the Kenyans. It is a shame, it is disgusting, and we're not tolerating it. Finally, bringing the case back is not an issue. CS Linturi had somebody who is called accounting officer. That is the permanent secretary. He had procurement officers. There is nothing wrong with auditing their role in this because CS implements the policy. If we failed in taking charge of implementing the policy and looking into the methodology and the framework of ensuring that the farmer gets the fertilizer, on that case he failed. And we are saying that the procurement team, the permanent secretary now must be brought to book. We don't want jokes in Kenya. The jokes which are happening in Kenya are far beyond, and we're not going to tolerate it. Thank you.
First of all, I don't even think party played a role in this so much. If you were here when we voted for the impeachment of Linturi or removal from office of Linturi, it was bipartisan. Members across the aisle, actually, despite the fact that the mover of the motion was from Azimio's side, but the support for that motion was bipartisan. I want to add that if you look at those 7 members who have rejected this report, even on the floor of the House, about 5 or 6 of them made their contribution and they supported Linturi on the floor of the House. So Kimani Ichung'wah, while constituting this committee, clearly wanted Linturi to be let off the hook, as he told us when he was contributing to this motion. He failed to convince his members. He failed to whip his members on the floor of the House. He decided to use the select committee to sanitize Linturi. That is what he did. And if I were the minority leader, I should have rejected this process completely. If I was the minority leader, I would have rejected this committee from day one. But now that that committee went to the end, you can see. First of all, this ruling of Speaker Wetangula, that Jubilee, which is part of Azimio, should always bring their member independently. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional,
Correct.
and it is usurping. He is actually usurped the powers of the Constitution and our statutes to make a ruling which has no basis in law. In fact, even Standing Order number 1 is being abused today. I have been in this parliament from 2008. Standing Order number 1 only becomes applicable where matters are not expressly stated or in the Constitution, in our standing orders, and in the statutes. Where matters are clear, you don't call upon the Speaker to make a ruling. On matters of Jubilee being part of Azimio, you cannot call for the Speaker's ruling on that. Jubilee is part of Azimio, and it remains so in records. So, to answer your question, Azimio is clear. We don't tolerate, we don't entertain corruption. And therefore, we want Linturi out. A larger section of Kenya Kwanza, especially members of parliament, listening to their voters in the villages, have spoken. Even today, they are disgusted. You can even see from the body language. They are all disgusted.
Yeah.
It is a clique of some individuals led by majority leader and now getting the support, unlikely support of the Speaker of the House, which have put us to where we are.
Today, the person who is presiding over the House is a party leader. So being a party leader, he is very much biased. He is very much biased to those people who have contrary opinion. And that is why he will stop Raphael Wanjala to stand on standing order number 1 and allows others to stand on point order number 1, on standing order number 1. And what has happened in this House, I have been in Parliament since 1997. There is no way a majority of the House can have no confidence in a minister, and then you subject that minister to 70 people whom he pays right, left, center, and you know most of these MPs are indebted. They go pay their bills, and you come and save the minister. What has happened in the House? It is something choreographed, and even the Speaker as defending his side of Kenya Kwanza, and he is the party leader of Ford Kenya, which is a member party of Kenya Kwanza. We are not going to allow it, and we are thinking on how to move. If he is not resigning from party politics, following President on his buttocks where he goes, we are going to deal with him.
Mimi kama mwakilishi wa wamama kutoka Githunguri ambao wanalima kahawa, wanalima majani chai na wanalima ng'ombe na chakula zingine. And also me being a farmer, I am a coffee farmer, and I actually bought that fertilizer that is apparently adulterated. I feel completely disappointed with the National Assembly of Kenya. I feel very exhausted, not because I wanted the result to be on the other way, but I thought we should have considered the many farmers that actually brought even the samples fertilizer into the parliamentary buildings, the county hall building when they were asked to. And when I listen to what is going on today in parliament, even those that are supposed to speak, I have been seated in this parliament since 2 o'clock. They have been handpicked by the leadership of the House. The people who are supposed to be speaking against the report cannot be given the microphone.
Yeah.
I have just registered my disappointment, even with the Speaker right now, because I wanted to speak and say, I don't think my farmers have been ably represented. I don't think the feelings and the frustration of my farmer has been registered. So I am sorry to say, it looks like Parliament has gone to bed with the executive.
Exactly.
Completely gone to bed with the executive. And that means whatever the executive want to do in this country, nobody will question. Nobody will oppose. Because I can even see members clapping and celebrating when other members are really walking out in distress, in pain like some of us. So for me as a member of parliament, I feel like parliament has not been fair to the farmers of Kenya. Farmers of Kenya have been left on their own. Farmers of Kenya can only pray to the Heavenly Father who gives rains. that their crops are not going to fail and eventually they are going to harvest. And I am very disappointed because this house has not actually given hope to the Kenyan farmer. I wanted to hear a statement, for example, now that we have discussed and decided that the minister is not guilty and should not be fired, any farmer who bought that adulterated fertilizer should go to this specific place, get a refund, or get compensation. But as we speak, a whole week of expectations by farmers, and we are going home delivering no hope, no expectation, no positive expectation, and we are only selling frustration. I am sorry on behalf of members of parliament that really voted no last time, 149 of them. The decision of 149 members of parliament has been brought down by only 7 members. It is unheard of, it is depressing, and it is the worst thing that can happen to a house of democracy like this house. Lakini in totality, I think it's good for us to speak to our people because we believe in God, the God that sends the rain and the rain that gives us food. This matter is very sensitive because those people who have traded with illegal fertilizer or illegal substances in the name of fertilizer are not beyond God. And I know there is a God that fights for our farmers. We believe that that God is going to fight for the farmers. We have done our best as team ground. Mheshimiwa Waboka amejaribu yake, hiyo ingine tumemwachia Mungu. Wale wote ambao wamehusika na hiyo fertilizer, hata wakitumia nguvu zao za kisiasa, kuna Mungu mbinguni ambaye huona ndani kuliko vile sisi tunaona. Hayo tu kwa sasa.
I believe that the report of the committee must be the report of the House. And in that case, 7 members cannot overrule a vote where 149 members voted in favor of impeachment of one Mithika Linturi. It does not make sense. It does not make sense that we can have a system where 7 members sit somewhere and come up with a decision to render all the evidence that was presented to the House as unsubstantiated without even giving the House an opportunity to interrogate and agree with them, and then that it becomes final. That could not have been the intention of the 2010 Constitution. If you look at the procedures or the proceedings in the Senate, anytime there is an impeachment, the Senate has an option of either forming a committee or hearing the witness or the accused in the presence of the whole House. We don't have that opportunity. My understanding is that this committee was supposed to do a report to the House to consider, and that is what the Speaker should have ruled, in my view. Now, finally, in terms of morality, Honorable Tiendi Amolo has raised a very serious and substantive matter on the floor of the House, which in my view should have not been brushed aside. Actually, since I came to this House, this is the closest that we have come to where a member has clearly and directly mentioned members of a committee for having been compromised in the process of executing its mandate. And therefore, the Speaker should have stopped any other deliberation on this matter and dealt with that matter conclusively, because as it is, the matter is left hanging, is left for speculation, and the entire House will stand indicted for a case where maybe only 7 members have been compromised to water down a report that should have set a precedent in this country. It is a shame, and I want to speak to those members, the 7 members, and their constituents are watching. This fake fertilizer that was supplied across the country went to almost all constituencies. The farmers have lost millions and millions of shillings. Your member of parliament has agreed that it doesn't matter whether you get fake fertilizer or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is his own satisfaction, expediency, interest, whether compromised or not. It is a shame, and those members of parliament who have exonerated Linturi, the electorate should be watching and should deal with them. Exactly. Finally, I want to ask that this matter should not end today. We must again have this process restarted. I have heard people say that it should that we will not have it again. No, there is nothing in law that stops us from restarting the process of removing Linturi from office.
I want to thank God first and my minority leader for giving me an opportunity to be part of the select committee that was investigating this matter. My observations is that if you do not have the system backing you, you are on your own. There were so many frustrations, obstructions to evidence, obstructions, intimidations, and deliberate switching off of lights, and sudden disappearance of the sponsors, advocates. People were busy. I want to remember when I was once voiceless. And I would, in my own little capacity, imagine that a honorable member would fight for me. This was the right opportunity, the right time for a silenced voice. Devesh Patel, wherever he is, I do not know him, but I know something about his company. The farmers who clearly, they didn't even have fair to come and show or prove that indeed there was fake fertilizer. I saw them and listened to them very intensively and keenly looked at them. The body language, they were not acting. It is indeed true, and it has not been denied that there was fake fertilizer. My question kept on remaining, asking myself, so who is responsible for all this scandal? So even if you're silenced, any farmer, a widow somewhere, peasant farmer, who hardly makes 2,500 shillings, who goes to table banking to borrow so that they can have their crops planted in time. But this time it wasn't so. I want them not to give up, because the opportunity for the select committee was there to represent those who have no voice, to represent those who have no money to fight in courts, to represent those who do not have powerful friends, to represent those who would just wish that somebody holds their hand. But as the saying goes, and the adage prevails, that a poor man has themselves to carry on. So I want to tell farmers, let us carry on, because we are still in a den of iniquity. God bless you.
Were you offered any money?
A lot. Even up to yesterday, 11 p.m. Somebody was following me because they knew we had not voted. It is unfortunate that somebody said earlier that we had voted. We had not voted. We voted today. We voted. The first voting was at 9 when the whole report, the general report, was done. And then when we deferred, we came up with ours at 11. We had a dissenting opinion, and that was it. So it's so unfortunate that sometimes you run maybe information, but it's good to wait until it is done. The voting was done today. It wasn't done any day earlier.
Sisi tunashukuru Mungu na kutufikisha mahali tumefika. Pili, nataka kushukuru waheshimiwa ambao walikuja wakasimama na sisi that day sitting 149 versus 36, na wengine hawakupiga kura. They had faulty machines, including our sister wa Mshomba, Honorable Nabina Bwera, and many others. So we were talking in excess of 200 members who really supported this motion. I want to thank them that they chose to stand with the people of Kenya. Na nataka kuambia wa Kenya, fertilizer gushi ilikuwepo, ndio ilikuwepo. Ingekuwa vigumu sana Kenya Kwanza walichukua wale watu 7 walitupa, walichangia kwa uzito sana kupinga hiyo motion kwa floor, na wakapiga kura against that motion. Wakawachukua wakawaweka kwa select committee, people with very strong opinion indeed. Ingekuwa vigumu sana hao kubadilika, lakini 149 members constituencies, tumepiga hesabu, hao wana represent 29 million Kenyans. Wamesema Mithika Linturi hafai kuwa waziri wa kilimo. That is a vote of no confidence. Hata Linturi afanye nini, bunge haina imani na yeye kama waziri wa kilimo. So for me, we won. Na mnajua kumekuwa na allegations hapa ya pesa. Dada yangu Wamanyo huyu, she was offered money 5 million. Alikataa, akasema atasimama na Wakenya. Na hata akawaambia hao majamaa walikuwa karibu wanapigana huko, akawaambia hiyo pesa itawaletea kansa. It is in public knowledge that these people wametembea hapo wakikula pesa, lakini tunawaachia Wakenya. Wengine hata wanatoka kwa maeneo za agriculture kama Malulu Injendi, Nabukoi, Chepkonga. Wataambia nini wakulima? Wakienda Nabukoi, wewe Chepkonga utaambia nini wakulima? Malulu Injendi, wewe wakulima wameniita kwako Malava na lazima nikuje, utawaambia nini? Because of 5 million? That is very, very, very demoralizing. Lakini mimi nawashukuru wote maloya wetu ambao walisimama na sisi, members, team ground ambao wamepigana na sisi. Tunashukuru Mungu, tumepigana na tumefika mahali tumefika. The jury is out there. We will be asking our partners, including ambassadors, not to deal with Honorable Mithika Linturi. Maneno yake ya mavisa na vitu zingine zikanyagwe. Na pia sisi mnajua we are budget making house. Majority of members wamesema Mithika asikuwe waziri. We will be asking them during appropriation, wakati ya budget zimefika, we will not touch the budget of Ministry of Agriculture kama Mithika Linturi bado yuko. So as I said, we have many ways of killing the rat. Saa hii tumeweka rat and rat, panya ameponyoka. Sasa iko kiberiti kuweka nyumba chini. Iko njia mingi na bado tutapasua hizo njia, lakini kwa farmers wa Kenya tunawaambia tu poleni. Sisi kama wabunge, team ground, tunaendelea kusimama na nyinyi na tutasimama na nyinyi hadi mwisho wa dunia hii.